You're watching Joy News today. To our very first story, the Electoral Commission has launched its 5-year strategic plan, which it says will help in transforming it into a trusted, more efficient election management body. Chair of the Commission, Charlotte Osei, addressing the media this morning, also said the Commission will stick to its new logo in spite of the huge public outcry over its appropriateness. According to her, the new logo represents the true independence of the Commission. We can now go live to my colleague Kwache Efrenwama, who joins us on the line. Hello, Kwache.
Hello, Bennett.
First, can you give us an update on what the details of the 5-year strategic plan is?
The Electoral Commission has put it under 5 different areas. First is vision, mission, EC objectives, and strategic pillars, and also the outcome, what they expect all this will lead to after these, the first 4 areas, be able to deliver in that regard. Then under vision, for example, the EC says that it wants to be the benchmark in Africa for enabling independent, trusted, and world-class democratic elections for citizens and candidates alike. And this they expect to achieve, like all the other targets, by 2020. And as it is a 5-year strategic plan. And on the objectives, for example, also they talk about the need to ensure that their mandate is delivered and managed legally, transparently, and fairly, and also ensure that they develop and maintain a relationship of trust and credibility with citizens, political parties, state institutions, and other stakeholders. And Madam Charlotte Osei, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, says that this particular point is key because they want to ensure that they, especially with the political parties and the voters, they develop a strong rapport with them so that there is no impression created that the Electoral Commission is not transparent in its operations, and all concerns along those lines will be dealt with due to the relationship that they will have with voters moving forward within this 5 years that the election regulatory body intends implementing the strategic plan.
All right, Kwache, are any political parties represented at the event, and are they, what are they saying? What exactly is their reaction to the outdooring of this 5-year strategic plan?
Well, the major political parties here, the governing NDC was represented by Mr. Kokoanyi, Deputy General Secretary, in fact, Director of Elections of the party. Some of Popo was here as well. The CPP's national chairman was here. And you had some of the other smaller political parties, GCPP and IPP. But in fact, interestingly, there was no representative from the largest opposition party, the MPP. Not so clear why they were not represented. But Mr. Kokoanyi, for example, talks about one of the key things that the Electoral Commission intends implementing, that is having a fully functional legal department. I'm sure you know that one of the discussions over the past couple of years has been about the fact that the Electoral Commission itself does not have its own legal department. What they've been doing over the years is to engage private legal practitioners, but moving forward and in line with this strategic plan, they will have their own legal department that will ensure that when cases go to court, they are sued, be able to defend those issues appropriately.
All right, Kwache, a lot of people have raised concerns about the EC's new logo. For many, it's inappropriate. But what has the EC chair been saying about the new logo?
Madam Charlotte Osei says that simply that the logo that we've known all these years, having a coat of arms and other symbols, did not represent enough what the Electoral Commission stands for. The coat of arms, for example, she says represents a power of the state. And in fact, the Electoral Commission's core mandate, which also requires that it operates independently, was not symbolized with that, and they saw the need to change.
All right. Okay, Kwache, thank you very much. And now we can cross over to the Best Western Premier Hotel. That's where the EC has launched its 5-year strategic plan, and the EC chair is also addressing the media on the various issues that have been raised coming up to the November 7 polls.
Wide area network. because all our offices, the data goes from the registration center to the district offices, and then it is transmitted through the wide area network to the central database, and they also maintain that database. So those are the 4 key functions that SCL provides for the EC. It is regulated by contract. There are roles and responsibilities on both parties, and our staff work with STL. There's not any of those functions that STL does by itself. By the nature of the contract, they are required to work with our staff. Do we want STL to totally hand over all these functions to the EC? The EC is not in the business, for instance, of providing wide area network. All the media houses who use wide area networks have service providers who provide it. They are not divorcing them because you do need strategic vendors. People have expressed concern about the management of the database and that they want the EC staff to manage it. It is something that the Commission has to look at. It is a strategic management decision. Every organization decides what to do by themselves internally and what to outsource, and what they do in collaboration with other entities, service providers. And so we, as a Commission, we have to sit and look at it from a strategic perspective. What are the pros and cons of all the options? If we decide that we want our staff to take over all that, then we would have to make sure that our staff are ready in terms of skills and capacities to take over those functions. We can't just carry those functions and hand over to our staff as a matter of national pride or because people have requested it. That may not be good, and it may lead to chaos. So we have a duty to make sure that we are ready if we want to take over that function. But again, it's not a decision I can take by myself. It's a decision we have to sit as a Commission and with management and take. As we implement our strategic plan, we did say that looking at improving the skills and capacities of our staff are some of the things we're going to look at. But it has to be a process. It's not going to be overnight. Right.
Now, between Kwame John and Umar Sando, I think we had one of these loaded WAEC questions, you know, compulsory question.
The logo.
Yes. They were talking about issues of the cost of the branding, Ghanaian role in the logo, and issues of plagiarism. So it's a loaded question. Please tackle it any way you see fit. Yes.
We did not open up invitations for people to send logos in because, as we explained, the logo has to represent where we're going to as a brand and as an institution. So it's not just about putting colors together. It had to represent something. We were also benchmarking internationally. We did look at logos of other electoral commissions. And it's important that we work very closely with other electoral commissions. They visit us, we look at their strategic plans, we exchange information, we exchange, we study visits are always going on. So there is a process. A logo is not just an artistic competition. It has to stand for something. We went through a process, and my husband did not design it. He's not a graphic artist. We went through a process, and I'm not even the only one married to a graphic artist, by the way. We went through a process. We, in terms of developing the brand and what we wanted the brand to stand for. We engaged internally. We made inquiries. We had people bring. We selected as a commission, and that's why I said we selected it and we like it. If the Turkish institute,
Educational Institute,
we plagiarized their logo.
That is the claim.
Then they certainly have rights under the law. We don't feel we've plagiarized their logos. And if you look internationally, there are many logos that look.
Now, have you seen that logo, by the way?
I have. I don't think it looks like mine. I like mine better. So we looked at. We like it. We are comfortable as a commission that it represents the values and the brand we want and the image we want to portray, and it supports our strategic direction.
How much is the branding cost? This is Umaru's question.
Honestly, I don't know. I would have to check with my director of finance and get back. But when you say branding, first there's the logo, and it's ongoing. It's not even finished. We haven't gone doing signage. We haven't done our vehicles. We usually don't even do our vehicles. I'm not sure we intend to.
But do we know how much we spent so far?
I couldn't tell you.
But those figures are there.
Sorry?
Are those figures there? Can we find out?
Of course they're there. I mean, there's a process. And people have to understand that we work within a budget. The EC is independent, but is also subject to laws. So we go through audits. We are audited by the Auditor General, and they go and they look and they make sure we've gone through right process, due process. We've spent within budget. We don't just have unlimited funds. And a lot of the reform process going on is also supported by donors, because donors have been working with us and trying to help us ensure that we finish the internal reforms, because we keep putting electoral reforms on top of the same structure. The structure must support the reforms and the things, how you're carrying your mandates. And so there's a lot of support for the internal reforms that are going on.
Okay. So those are the first set of questions. Can we have a few more? Same drill, your name, your organization. I think I'll give you a microphone as well.
My name is Yaobe Manu from Peace FM. Key component of the branding is about integrity, transparency, and all those things. But one of the issues, which is of course a subject of discussion in our nation now, is about the number of people in the voters register that ought to be deleted, which is from, of course, different figures being quoted. Some are quoting 500,000, some are quoting 600,000. Question is, what is it that the EC intends to do exactly to delete those names? And again, Madam, if you say that... One question, sir. Yeah, I'm just trying to point out something to you. You're trying to add a second question. No, I'm not asking a question, but she says that the EC staff don't have the capacity. But per the arrangement that you have with the... Can I say that? That's your second question. Who will answer the first question? Thank you. We are running out of time. Thanks.
Thank you very much. My name is Prince Minka. I work with Class 91.3 FM. By the way, you're live on Class FM. And my question, of course, has to do with the voters register. I want to know from you, is it credible going into the elections? And it's the same question, not a second question. And the various concerns raised by the various political parties, exactly what are you doing to engage them and ensure that they don't raise questions after the elections? Thank you.
So it's a credibility question. The first one was about cleaning the register. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Enoch Dafa Frimpong. I'm from the Daily Graphic. Unlike our presidential elections, not stipulate the period within which a president should be elected and then sworn in. That of the parliamentary one is in the Constitution. Article 113(4) says that members of parliament should be elected within 30 days before the other parliament expires. We want to find out how prepared or how has the Constitution been amended to take care of this, especially as we are moving the elections to November 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I am Parker Wilson. I work with Class FM. Now, the panel of 5 indicated that the exhibition process should help clean the register. Now, by some members of the commission that process would help the cleaning of the register. So the question is that, what was the relevance of the panel of 5 if the EC is refusing to implement its recommendation?
Thank you.
My name is Godfrey Tanam with TV3. Without the political parties, the importance of the EC wouldn't be noticed. And most of the time we see that when there's an IPAC meeting and then political parties come out, we hear contradictory statements from them. We want to find out how strong is the relationship between the EC and the political parties, so that as we're going in for the election, we don't go there with doubts.
All right, thank you very much. 5 questions. I'll start as usual with the most recent. So relationship, again, this time it's not a divorce. Relationship between the EC and the political parties. How strong is that relationship?
As at last week, there's 25 registered political parties. The EC consistently engages with political parties. Indeed, if you look at the election calendar, which we issued in December 2015, there are scheduled IPAC meetings every month. And so we engage political parties a lot, and even outside IPAC. It's a very strong relationship. It's a very inclusive process. There's no aspect of our electoral system that political parties do not take part in. We're going into the registration exercise next week. Political parties are key and active participants in that process. They have agents at the registration centers. At the end of every day, they get a list of the people who have applied to be registered. to people, they don't want to be registered and make their grounds, and then they appear before a magistrate. So they are part of the processes in everything we do. So the relationship is very strong. As to people coming out of IPAC and saying things other than what we agreed at IPAC, well, mischief is a big part of politics. You can't take that away. And I'm not sure that that fact alone means that political parties do not have a good and strong relationship with the EC. People also have to learn the changing of what they hear and to question it more and arrive and make their own truths. We can't impose meanings and interpretations on people. People they have free will and they can choose what they want to believe. We have a duty to communicate with the public and tell them what we have agreed, and we will do that. We also have a duty to continue to engage political parties.
Right. Okay. Quick question. What is the status of the steering committee?
Steering committee, you see, those are institutions that we already work with. And so if the NCC needs information, we have to give it to them. If the police need information, we have to give it to them. So that information sharing is still going on. We've explained it at IPAC, we've clarified it. There's understanding now as to the role of the steering committee. Some people are not too happy with the name, but then again, some people are too happy with the IPAC. So it's a work in progress. There was a question on
the relevance of the panel of 5. There was one question like that.
And that the EC is not implementing the recommendations.
Just came and spoke, gave recommendations, and
I
nothing.
I don't know where that is from. We're implementing the recommendations by the panel almost to the letter. If you go to page 66 of the panel's report, which we have put on our website, it starts by saying there's a heading, the recommendations. And they make about, I think, 16 or 17 recommendations. And we're implementing all of them. Even the person who asked the question said, the panel said, we should use the exhibition process as a means of auditing the register. We haven't reached the exhibition process. I explained earlier that there are 3 main activities in the election calendar. The limited registration, where you update the register, and they're going to add more names to the register. Why audit now? So we finish with the additions. Then we do the exhibition because, again, in this election year, we're expanding to 29,000 polling stations. So it's only when people have finished registering that we know this polling station is too big and it's split and all that. Then we use the exhibition process to now make sure everybody goes out, encourage them, go out, check your polling station, check that your details are correct. So you need to go, and then we've even agreed as part of the electoral reforms, we agreed that during the exhibition process, we're going to make the BVDs available so that when you show up for the exhibition and you check your details, you put your finger on the machine and you also know that there is no problem. If you have low quality fingerprints, then we may have to move you to face-only identification and not through the BVDs.
BVDs, biometric
verification devices.
Okay.
So all those plans had already been agreed as part of the electoral reform process, that the BVDs will be made available at the exhibition. And the exhibition is the process for checking your details, verifying your details, and ensuring that you can vote on election day.
There's 3 more questions.
If there's any other, also if you want to challenge people, that is a point to challenge because all the political parties have a
okay.
And then together we clean it up. The question as to the numbers.
Yes, there was a question on cleaning and credibility. What are the...
Well, we're cleaning with all the parties, and the point of including everybody, it's a collaborative process, it is a transparent process, it is, above all, it's a legal process.
Is there agreement on the process? Because we've had this VV validation, verification, is there agreement?
Vigilance, there are a lot of Vs floating around for elections.
Victory, I guess, for some who win.
Exactly, and victory, ultimately victory. There is agreement at IPAC. At that time, we had 24 parties represented at IPAC. We've just registered, licensed a new one. There is agreement at IPAC as to the process and the mechanisms for auditing and cleaning of the register. However, there are also cases pending at the Supreme Court. Despite of agreements at IPAC, we cannot go ahead and finalize those agreements or implement them. And we're even going to implement them during the exhibition period. That's what was agreed at IPAC. But we have to await the outcome of the Supreme Court cases. It's respectful and it is proper. When the Supreme Court makes a pronouncement at IPAC, but at the IPAC level, we've engaged extensively. They know the process we want to adopt. They have agreed that those processes make sense, because we also have to look at the challenges, perceived or real, with the register. And you must make sure that the processes you're putting in place are names, 600,000 names on the register that need to be deleted. If we knew, that would be so much easier, because it would mean that we have the evidence.
But we don't know.
I cannot tell you how many. It's a register of over 14 million people currently. None of us here can tell you that we have a 100 register. I don't know that. It's only when people bring evidence to the centers that this family member has passed on, this is the evidence of the death. Then we can take that evidence, and based on that evidence, we can now say we're removing the names of deceased persons off the register.
These are some of their responsibilities.
All of us, including you, all of us. We all own the process. It's all of us our responsibility. So we would encourage people that when the exhibition starts, please bring the evidence. We all have a responsibility. We all have a cleaning of the register. The EC cannot sit we can't sit in our offices and make a determination that this one is deceased and we're removing these names. We're not even empowered by law to do that. We need the evidence. When it comes to the issues of multiple registrations, the system, the software takes care of that. With political parties, we go through an adjudication process and we remove those names. The other two categories would be minors and alleged foreigners. When you allege that somebody is a minor, there is also a process. It must be an objection or a challenge process. It must go before a district magistrate. And then the case is determined, and then an order is made for us to remove the person or leave the person on the register. If you also think someone is a foreigner, again, you go through that process, because remember, the person also has a right to be heard. And there's due process. So you allege it, the person is brought before a magistrate, independent of the EC. The magistrate makes a determination, the EC is compelled to act on the basis of the order made by the magistrate.
Okay. There was a question on parliamentary elections and the fact that we wanted to know whether the law took care of
the constitutional amendment process.
Yes,
okay, Gina says she'll speak to that.
Thank you very much. We are amending, or we are in the process of amending Article 1124. Article 1124 of the Constitution, and fortunately, it's a non-entrenched provision in the Constitution. So it's going under the process under Article 291. So as we speak, we have engaged Parliament. We have had an initial engagement with the Constitutional and Legal Committee of Parliament, and it's gone to Cabinet. It's been approved at that point. So the first Gazette had been made. We are waiting to have the second Gazette somewhere early May. Yeah, and then it will go to Parliament, back to Parliament again, to come to Council of State before it gets back to Parliament for approval. So all that we have to do, we have done.
So, but timelines, will this be ready before November?
Yes, it would be ready.
Okay. Do we have any more questions, please? A few more questions? New people who have asked questions before. Thank you. Maybe this may be the final round. Okay, so same, your name, your organization, and then the question.
Yes, my name is Joseph Armstrong. I work with GH1 TV. My question is, prior to the general election, I want to find out from you, who should journalists be contacting for information? Because recently we saw an internal memo suggesting that the communications director's position is vacant. What happened to the ones that we had before? Thank you very much.
Okay, so who do we talk to at the EC? That's Armstrong's question. JH1.
Okay, my name is William Boateng. I work with ETV Ghana. I want to find out, I think you made a submission here. You stated that this particular limited registration exercise is for those who have not registered before. Now, we want to find out about those who have lost their ID cards. When will they be given that opportunity to actually get a replacement? And we are told that the commission is charging 5 cedis. We want to find out why is it so, and if that is true. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Michael Oti. I work with Metro TV. Now, earlier this year, the Electoral Commission presented a budget of 1.1 billion cedis for the conduct of this year's election. But Parliament approved about 826 million cedis, leaving a funding gap of about 400 million cedis. Now, this year, we are expanding the polling stations, about 29,000 of them. It means more biometric verification devices. It means we have to get standbys for all of these areas. How is the Electoral Commission going to pull this off, given the funding gap of 400 million cedis?
Thank you, Michael, for the funding gap question.
And my name is Jonathan Adams. I work with TV3. My question is related to my colleague, but then I just want to know whether we have enough funds for the limited registration, which is coming on 28th of this month, and also the rebranding. Madam, can you tell us the source of funding for rebranding and what input those people have?
I like the way you're setting your questions. 2 or 3. So 3 in 1. One question, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Nana Ampofo. I work with Oman FM. I want to find out from you exactly what actually transformed your decision in changing the logo, and what were some of the challenges were you encountering with the previous one, and why haven't you heard to civil societies that we must have a new voters register? We haven't. So we wanted to find out from you, why are you saying that? And or even on your calendar, there's nothing shows that we'll have a new.
Okay, thank you. Wondering that I just came, but no problem. Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Techibuadu. I write for the Daily. Short questions. There's some level of uncertainty about the day we would vote. Is it November 7th or December 7th? Secondly, there are a number of, now you tell us as 25 political parties that have registered. Has the EC been able to verify that they have offices dotted everywhere as is required by law? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your name again, sir? Mr. Daily Guide. Charles, right? Charles. All right, okay.
I'm Jerry Onsu Appel from Independent People's Party.
All right, Jerry.
Mine is actually a suggestion.
Jerry, please develop a close relationship with the microphone.
All right.
Yeah.
Mine is actually a suggestion to the upcoming.
Get closer. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Mine is just a suggestion to the upcoming limited voter register registration. I will suggest if we can use BECE certificate, because that has the date of birth of the person and the actual date of birth of the person, and then the detail that we will. No, the BECE, certificate that has the real date of birth of the person who is going to register.
Hello. Good afternoon. My name is Ramon Osei Akoto. I'm the founder of United Love Party. In your new strategy, I see inclusiveness. Normally, I see that during elections, presidential election debate will come and some of us will be sidelined. Nomination fees is also being manipulated at times. Are you going to include all participants in this upcoming elections so that we can all debate for the people to hear our voices? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raymond. We'll start with the last question. So Raymond wants to know whether it will be inclusive as far as the debate is concerned.
The Electoral Commission does not organize presidential debates. Ramon should be worried about whether his party will still have its license as we proceed with this year before the presidential debates. Inclusiveness.
Yes, indeed.
We have a very inclusive electoral system, more so than many other countries. That is a part of even the printing of the ballots. They put their seals on the empty ballot boxes to ensure that it's empty before voting starts. Before we can count ballots, they have to take off their seals. They count with us. They have agents for candidates and parties present at the polling stations. We usually would have 5 staff maximum at the polling station. Every party and every candidate has an agent there. So usually the party people outnumber even the election officials. So they count with us. They sign off results at the polling station. It to the constituency collation centers. They have reps there. Again, they sign off. When it comes to the National Collation Center, which used to be the strong room, again, they have agents there, they sign off. So it's a very inclusive process. And if you have 25 registered political parties, and you also have people who can stand as independent candidates, it means that ultimately you could even have 30 people on the ballot paper. Having the opportunity to engage in a presidential debate cannot be the only pointer to how inclusive the process is. We need to look at it more holistically.
Right.
So we believe it's a very inclusive system, and we keep working at increasing the levels of inclusiveness in our system.
Okay, Jerry is suggesting an innovation. He says you use the BECE certificates as a way of verifying the age of these brand new voters, 18 years.
I like the V words are coming back, verifying.
Yes.
Good. All these activities are regulated by law. The new CI 91 specifies how you can prove your identity when you come up to register. And so it says you can bring your passport, you can bring your driver's license, you can bring your national identity card. If you do not have any of that, the Supreme Court has disallowed the use of the national health insurance cards as a means of identifying yourself. If you do not have any of that, 2 voters on the register can attest, issue a guarantee for you. Just that I think now there's a limit. They can't guarantee more than 5 people. Each person cannot guarantee more than 5 people.
Sure.
So those things help. We can't add BEC certificate to the law. However, if there is a challenge to your registration or an objection subsequently, and you appear before the district magistrate registration review committee, you could bring your BEC certificate as a means of attesting or supporting the fact that you are 18 and above, and so you qualify to be on the register, and that you're a Ghanaian citizen. The trick, the one we should worry about, is how to prove that you're of sound mind.
Okay. So the BEC is almost like further and better particulars.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
There were a few other questions.
No, I've got them all here.
Okay.
Charles wants you to tell us, are we voting on the 7th of November or the 7th of December?
I think Gina just explained that. She did explain. She took us, in fact, through the entire constitutional amendment process and said we were on course. It lies with Parliament. Once Parliament amends the Constitution, we're ready to vote on
Okay.
7th.
Charles also wants to know whether you will verify, the V word again, that all these offices, these parties have offices, and his words were dotted all around the country. Do you have to have brick and mortar offices, or do you just have to have national national offices, as Mr. Akpolu told me yesterday at GH1?
He came to you. He also came to me today.
Yes. So what is it?
You're making your case everywhere.
Do you need roofs and doors, or you need
the law
a virtual
says
office?
you should be organized. I remember when this came up at IPAC, Mr. Bernard Mona said, if we can have schools under trees, then surely we should allow offices under trees. So it's still open. The point is you have to show the EC that you are organized in at least 2/3 of the districts. You must be a party that is national in character. For the new ones we are licensing, we're insisting that you prove that. Mr. Palu has also made his case to me about looking at how we establish that. We would look at it as a commission. But for ongoing as well, we did inform political parties last year that we were giving a moratorium up to December 31st, but that we would be enforcing fully all the provisions of the political parties' law.
So can you interpret it to mean that you must have
It's more than that. You must also submit your audited accounts.
Okay.
Even the simple things.
So if I were the presidential candidate of XYZ party and I submitted my accounts, but I didn't have physical offices, would I be contravening any law?
Yes, you would be, because we said we'll be implementing, enforcing all the provisions, not some. If you take part in a by-election, you have to give us accounts after the by-election. And we need to raise the standards of enforcement and compliance with the law. And we're starting with the political parties. So Mr. Palu knows what is coming, and I'm sure he's getting ready.
Okay, so Nana wanted to know whether you had any challenges with this logo. But I guess he wasn't here because you kind of answered this question earlier.
Explained that
yes.
Ad nauseam.
It wasn't a competition. They decided to choose it.
There was another one.
There was, Jonathan wanted to know, with the limited registration, what was the source of rebranding? Source of rebranding funds. This was 2-in-1 question. So where did you get the money from?
A lot of the reforms are being supported by donors and development partners. And some, of course, would come from the budget if we have to print new letterhead. But as we said, we haven't.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process.
Okay. I think there was another question about the limited registration, whether there would be another one before the election, after this one.
No.
There won't be another one.
There was, however, we are working on continuous voter registration. If we finalize the modalities for continuous voter registration with the parties, it would mean that you can walk into the office of the Electoral Commission in any district and you can register even though the period of the periodic registration exercise is over. But that depends on finalizing that with IPAC on time for the elections.
Okay.
There were questions on
Michael,
civil
funding
society.
gap says you presented a budget for 1-point-something billion and it was only 800 and something was approved. There's a gap. How are you intending to close that gap for the election?
It's not our job to find the funds to fund elections. That's the headache of the Minister of Finance. He's well aware that he has a headache there, and I think he's working on it. So in terms of the how, those questions would have to be directed to the...
If you don't get the money?
We will get the money.
Okay. William wants to know what the situation is with if you've lost your ID card and there's some 5 Ghana cedi tax.
Yes. There's a 5 Ghana cedi fee because the paper, the laminate, they all cost money. And it doesn't disenfranchise you if you don't have your card, because you can vote without your card. All you need in Ghana to vote is your finger. So once you have your fingers and you show up, we'll scan you on the register, your details will pop up, you'll be verified, and you will vote. However, if you feel that you need the card, because it does help you remember, we are assuming you know your identity, but it does help you remember your polling station and all that. That's where the card comes in, and it makes queue management easier on election day. Okay. But you would have to pay the fee of the 5 Ghana cedis because we also have to buy those resources to enable you get a
admin
fee replacement. Yes.
Okay. Strong from JH1 wanted to know who he can talk to at the EC following the leaking of an internal memo.
Everything leaks at the but we have it's part of our internal reorganization, which is ongoing. We've done quite a bit of it. So the communications department has been reorganized. Some of the key staff there have moved on to bigger and better responsibilities. Some of them have been in that position for years. It's a very tiring job. We have advertised internally, as came out on internal memo, and we have shortlisted, I think, when is it, next week or so? The first week in May, we would do interviews and we would announce the new people who would be staffing. In the meantime, the transitional arrangement is that Mr. Parry still would continue to take questions. He's now head of admin, but in this short period, he will continue to take any inquiries from the public.
So he's the man we can call if we have any issues.
He still has that headache, yes.
Okay, all right. He says he doesn't. Somebody, this is a nameless question. He said the man doesn't answer calls.
We'll take the complaint after the media engagement.
Okay.
There was one more question on that civil society organizations had demanded for a new register and why we were not doing a new register. I remember that.
Okay. I don't quite remember that one. Was there a question that was unanswered, please? What was it? Civil society organizations are demanding for a register. For a new register. Okay, so The question says civil society organizations are asking for a new register and a roadmap.
Unfortunately, we have not received any demand from any civil society organization for a new register. When in September last year, when we opened up for everyone to bring their views, almost every civil society organizations, particularly the big ones that even work in the elections process, not one of them felt we needed a new register, but they did bring proposals for how the register should be cleaned up. The Justice Scrap panel in place to engage all the stakeholders who had made submissions. They came out with their recommendations that they did not feel that we needed a new register. The case had not been made. And indeed, it was doubtful whether it would have solved the problems that the current challenges. Because if you're going to put money into the new register, you should also make sure that it addresses the problems that you're currently experiencing. So you need to take a step back and say, how do we have these problems in spite of the process we have? So we do not have any requests from from any civil society organization for a new register. As to the roadmap for cleaning, I think that at the IPAC level, this has been discussed extensively, but there are cases pending at the Supreme Court, either to compel the EC to do a new register, or to compel the EC to go through what they call a validation process on the register. We have to await the outcome of those cases to conclude. But at the IPAC level, unfortunately, some civil society groups come as observers to IPAC. There are thousands of civil society groups in Ghana. They all do not come to IPAC. So they may not be aware of the roadmap. But for the political parties who are the key stakeholders in that process, they know at IPAC that there is a roadmap, a general consensus on what we're going to all do with the register towards making it more credible and cleaner before the elections. But we have to await the outcome of the Supreme Court cases.
Final question is from Midday, GH1 TV, and this concerns the future. As part of your strategic planning, we're looking for a single national identification number in the future, 5 years, 10 years down the line, so that it makes administration of issues easier. It makes cleaning almost automatic if we have a system like that. Is that part of your planning?
Because we're in charge of national identification, it cannot be part of our planning. That is a process we would support.
Would you advocate something like that?
Yeah, it would be brilliant, and I think we've said that before. If you visit other countries, even the births and deaths registry, the figures, the data fits automatically into the electronic, the EC database. And so names of deceased persons are automatically updated and removed from the register. It will be brilliant. We understand that there is some process going for an integrated data management system. We, as the Electoral Commission, would certainly want to be a part of that and would want a more holistic process for addressing all these identification challenges which we face in Ghana. So that would be brilliant, yeah.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Charlotte Osei, Sule Amadou, Akwa-Agustin, Dodino Popo Mankwa, Hadia Sadatu, Mrs. Ajaho, and Ms. Paulina Jajawa. Thank you very much. These are your commissioners. And you can go to their website, www.ec.gov.gh. The entire strategic plan is there. My name is Midday. It's a pleasure to have been your moderator and MC. Have a beautiful afternoon. Good day. God bless.
You're watching Joy News today on Joy News on Multi TV. My name is Benis Abu Baidu. You just saw excerpts from the Best Western Premier Hotel, where the Electoral Commission launched its 5-year strategic plan and also answered questions posed by media men. Still on election issues, the Supreme Court has adjourned to May 3 the case brought by embattled NDC parliamentary candidate for Klote Kwale, Dr. Zaneto Rawlings, contesting the capacity of a High Court hearing a case challenging her candidature. Incumbent MP for the area, Ama Ashite, went to the High Court to challenge the eligibility of Dr. Rawlings as a voter after she beat him in the November 11, 2015 primaries. But Dr. Rawlings believes the High Court lacks jurisdiction over the matter. My colleague Raymond Aqua was in the court and joins me in the studio. So Raymond, welcome. What exactly happened?
So it was not the usual court day for the Supreme Court. The panel did not even sit, but the registrar announced to the court that for some reason he wouldn't tell the court. The case has been adjourned to May 3, and everybody had to disperse. The important issue flowing from that is that today is the 26th. On the 28th, registration for the limited registration exercise is going to start. It was established in court that she's not a registered voter. The question people are asking, if she takes advantage of the Thursday event and proceeds to register, would that make this case moot? They probably think so, but Ama Ashite doesn't think so.
And so, have you spoken to any of the contestants in this? What has Zaneto been saying, and what has Ama Ashite also been saying?
The thinking on the side of Dr. Zaneto is that right from the beginning, this is not something worth pursuing in the first place, because I'm sure that when she gets a chance, she'll be registering soon, so all of this will be rendered useless. But Ama Ashite says, so far as the time that they were supposed to go through the primaries, his quotation from the NDC's own constitution is that at the time of filing to contest the primaries, was she a registered voter? And the NDC sources the national constitution as its main determinant, qualification gradient for anybody who wants to contest that particular election. So that's where the difficulty is, and that's where the court may have to come in to determine really who is on the right side.
Okay, so on May 3, we are there to cover. We'll bring you some updates on that story. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay on.
Time to talk entertainment here on Joy News today. My name is Becky. Now, Nigerian actress Noella Njobigbo has revealed exclusively to the entertainment team that she wouldn't mind venturing into politics. We caught up with her at the premiere of her latest movie, Pressure, over the weekend.
Actors and entertainers in Nigeria, especially so, and here in Ghana too, have left the entertainment hemisphere for politics.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want to say about it. What you have to say about it.
Well, of course, it's a free world.
We're losing the entertainers.
No, we are not. And people are still coming. And once an entertainer, always an entertainer. Yes, I don't think you're losing anybody. But, people still come into the industry every day. So I don't think we're losing anybody.
Do you have any interest in doing full-time politics?
No. Full-time? But you never know. You never know. I can't say yes or no, but you never know. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, if it's good.
Oh, you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Like, let's say in how many years?
Maybe in another 10.
10 years?
Yeah.
After 10 years, you will be in politics?
If God wants it, I will. I would love to, because I would love to make my own impact.
We're definitely looking forward to that. Now, veteran comedian and actor Kweku Sintim, popularly known as KSM, has revealed that he has not been able to sustain his brand. And so he admits that his brand does not appeal to the recent generation.
Well, there's a passion, Fortunately, once your brand becomes accepted, then you can make money. Not as much as I would have wanted to.
Has your brand been accepted?
Long ago. It's even now going back down. It's like tired. There were times that, nobody would miss a KSM one-man show for anything. I filled the National Theatre about, 100 times. So as any time I was there, it was full. The returns were not bad, but nowhere near what it could have been.
What do you think will be making KSM brand be taking a nosedive?
There's a decline. One, I think there's a new generation coming up, that don't really know the brand as it was before, so it doesn't excite them as the brand before. So that one, technically, logically, it can hurt the brand, But and that is a failure of me readjusting. You know, it's not like that's the trend. You know, but it has been. I would describe it as me not having been strong enough to adjust to the different generations.
That's it for the segment. My name is Becky. Enjoy the rest of our programs.
That'll be it for this edition of Joy News Today. Thanks for your company. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Up next is our comprehensive business program, The Marketplace. My name is Benis Abubedu. Do stay on to enjoy the rest of our programs.